Oh yeah. Is it Thursday already? Wow, we got quite the episode of a Bad Batch yesterday that we got to talk about today. And John Williams is now coming out. John Williams, who wrote the score for all of the Star Wars movies, is coming out and talking about his first experience with A New Hope and how he wrote Luke and Leia as a love story instead of a brother and sister. We're going to talk about all of it today. And we got some other news for the Rey movie, some news for the Mando and Grogu movie. We got a lot to talk about today. So how's everybody doing in the chat? What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? We got a lot to talk about today, but let's start with the Bad Batch episode 5. Episode 5 of the Bad Batch season 3 came out yesterday, and a lot of fans are pretty upset about the filler episode, as they're calling it, but I actually completely disagree, and I think this episode was quite good and led us down a path where we're going to lead into next week's episode with a lot coming. With Omega being Force sensitive, Asajj Ventress coming in, possibly as a bounty hunter. We're going to talk about all of it, but before we do, rank this episode out of 10. Episode 5 of Season 3 of The Bad Batch, rank it out of 10. What's up, chat? How we doing? Let me open up the chat so I can see what you guys are talking about. Maggie, what's up? Skywalker Academy, what is up? Dustin, how we doing? Friggins, what's up? Ian, what is up? All right, rank that episode out of 10. My ranking has not changed since the breakdown video. I still have it at a 7.5 out of 10, just where I had episode 4 last week. I think it's actually very similar to episode 4, as we got to see Omega and Crosshair in episode 4 grow their sort of connection, and we got to see Hunter and Crosshair mend their whole differences in this last episode. But we actually got a lot more than that. We got Crosshair going back to that planet of Barton 4, where he kind of came back to the light in season 2, where he saw Mayday die, where he went through all that stuff. And we got to see this base abandoned by the Empire, and we got to see kind of what happened with all the clones there, how they were all just expendable and all that stuff. Nick, howdy from Texas. What's up, Nick? Says 8 out of 10. Friggin says 7 out of 10. Dustin says 8 out of 10. What's up, Fearless? Yeah, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm at 7.5 out of 10. That's kind of where I'm at with this episode. I don't think it's like the greatest episode. I think we have a long way to go up from here, but it was a very good episode. A lot of people calling it filler. I think it was very necessary. You had this whole disagreement or disconnect between Hunter and Crosshair for 3 seasons. It's not just going to mend in one nice reunion at the end of episode 4. So you have to have an episode to sort of clear all that stuff up, to make Hunter understand what Crosshair went through and actually go to the place that he went through it, which was pretty damn cool, if I do say so myself. Yeah. Maggie gave it a 9 out of 10. That's very high. Friggin says, the animation and the music were fantastic, but that's just every week. Yeah, I mean, Kiner is the guy who's doing all the music. Kevin Kiner, he's just so good. I mean, you look at the work he's done with the Clone Wars, now the Bad Batch, from Rebels to even Ahsoka. He's just the GOAT. We're going to be talking about John Williams today, who did all the other composing for all the Star Wars movies, but Kevin Kiner's got to get his cheers too. He does quite a good job with these animated shows. I mean, the music makes the whole scene all the time. With all these emotional scenes and stuff, it's the music that gets you going. Ian says, I think people calling it filler because it was character development and they want more action with more main plot movement. Yeah, a lot of people just want action scenes. So when there's just character development with these characters, the show's literally called The Bad Batch, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't noticed that, over 3 seasons, I don't know what you're looking at, but it's obviously going to develop the characters of the Bad Batch. Crosshair being one of the main ones that a lot of fans really have grown attached to. And in season 2, we got only a few episodes with Crosshair even involved. He was in the Cody episode and he was in the Mayday episode, and then we saw him on Mount Tantus in the finale, but that was it. In a 16-episode show, he was only in 3 or 4 episodes. So now we're going to get a lot more Crosshair in this 3rd season, which will probably end in his death. Yeah. Do you guys still think that all these Bad Batch people are going to die? Do you think Crosshair's still a goner? Do you think Hunter's still a goner? Do you think that they're all going to die at the end of this season? I think Omega is still obviously going to survive. And of course, the topic of conversation today, which we'll get into in a second, is whether or not she is force sensitive, because I think that's going to be extremely important going into next week's double up episode. That's right. We have 2 episodes next week. But we'll talk about that in a second. But do you guys still believe, with all this character development in the last 2 episodes for Crosshair, for Hunter, do you think that those 2 characters are still going to die at the end of the show? Fearless says, Crosshair survives. I don't know about that. Friggin says, Crosshair back in his armor gave me goosebumps. It was pretty cool. It was definitely cool. We haven't seen him in his armor in a long, long time, it feels like. Yeah. Yeah. TEG, what's up, says POV. It's 7 where I am, 7 a.m. Where the hell are you? Plot armor? Nice. Dustin Kennedy says, that 151st, the 151st trooper that was with Rex in the Battle of Amara, I think was the clone assassin trooper. What are you talking about? Do I have to look this up? The 150, what? I don't even know what to look up here. The 501st is what you're saying? 501st. I don't know what to look up there. I don't know how to help you. But, oh, the Umbara arc. Oh, the, okay. Umbara clone force arc. Let's see if we can find him. So you think this guy is the clone assassin? No, you don't. Wait, what? There's a lot of clones with him in this arc. Which one are you referring to? We got a lot of clones here. I don't know which one you're referring to, but it could be. It could be. You never know. You never know. I think Echo is still alive, and he's hiding in, hiding in Rebels. You think Echo's going to be still alive in Rebels? Rebels takes place almost 15 years after the events of the Bad Batch. 15 years later, you think that Echo is still alive? TEG says, FYI, plot armor will be featured in the Bad Batch. What? You think Echo's still alive by the time of Rebels? So you think Echo will survive? Let's put it that way. Who do you think will survive the Bad Batch Season 3? Of the Bad Batch members, obviously. So you got Crosshair, you got Hunter, you got Wrecker, you got Echo, and you got Omega. 5 members left. Obviously Tech, but Tech is gone. 5 members left. Who do you think is going to survive? Of those people. I think Crosshair is definitely a goner. That's why we're getting all this build up for him, the same way we did with Tech in the 2nd season. Hunter's a very interesting one because I think his death will sort of be the most important to Omega's story, being that he is the father figure. Wrecker's a weird one. Why kill off Wrecker when you don't really have to? Yes, he does have a connection to Omega, but it's not that crazy. And then Echo's a strange one too because he's not really involved with the Bad Batch too much anymore. He was in this episode, but he's been off with Rex doing a bunch of stuff by himself. I don't know. It'll be very interesting. Friggin says Omega, and that's all. Okay, interesting. Fearless says Wrecker will survive too. Okay, but here's the problem with that. Wrecker's this big Hulk-looking dude in a galaxy where he's going to be helping the Rebels. If he's off with Omega, he's probably going to be helping Omega. How is he not noticed? How is he not in something else after? You know? One with the flat top? Who is that? Nick says, Batcher will be the only survivor. Yeah, Batcher. Batcher's actually probably going to be a pretty sad death. Every animal type character is always going to have a sad death. Yeah. I don't know if Batcher will survive. I mean, he could survive and be like Omega's like hound type thing. Like if Omega becomes a bounty hunter, force sensitive bounty hunter, or goes off and works with Asajj Ventress, who knows? We'll talk about it in a second. But then he could sort of like be the Bad Batch for her and kind of just be like that thing that she can latch onto, you know? TEG says, which one's good at sniping? Crosshair? Which one's good at sniping? Dustin says, yeah, he's more machine than man, so he's easily confused with a droid. But if Echo survives, that kind of complicates a lot of things. A lot of things. Because he's not in anything else. He's not in Rebels. Well, we do see clones in Rebels. We see Rex, we see Wolf, and we see Gregor. See, guys, I remembered all 3 of them. Come on. Come on. That's pretty good. Okay. So Echo's not there. Actually, nobody's there. Wrecker's not there. Hunter's not there. Omega's not there. So even if Omega is one who survives, she's not in anything else either. So where would she be? Is she going to show up in the Mandoverse? Is she going to have this interaction with Boba Fett that like we all want her to have with the only other unaltered clone of Jango Fett? It's very interesting because all of us are saying, yeah, Omega's definitely going to survive and maybe the rest of them will die. But then where is Omega going to fit into the story of Star Wars? Where does she go? Yeah. Fearless says, maybe we'll get the answer for that at the end of the season. Oh, well, we'll obviously get an answer for that at the end of the season, as they're all either going to die or they're all either going to survive. Yeah. Ian says, they even make the Rancor die in Return of the Jedi. Sad. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because you got the big dude that comes out and he's like crying about it. Yeah, that's true. Anthony, what's up? Anthony says, Mike, I believe that Omega's unique genetic makeup has made it possible for her blood to be able to retain M count. She's superior. She's superior, being a la Captain America. Interesting. So you think the same way that Captain America was able to become the super soldier and the Hulk couldn't and Red Skull couldn't, you think that her genetic makeup just makes her able to have a unique genetic makeup that can retain the M count? She doesn't have a high M count. She can only just retain the M count. All right, let's switch over the conversation to what Anthony just said. Let's talk about Omega being force sensitive. I'm going to put up a poll in the chat right now and ask you guys what we think, because a lot of fans have been kind of back and forth on this. Do you think Omega is force sensitive? Yes or no? Simple, easy, yes or no question. Is she force sensitive? Yes or no? This is an interesting one because episode 3 ends with us finding out that Omega has a high M count due to this test that they've been doing on all these clones. Nala Se was throwing out all the samples of Omega's clones because Nala Se knows for a fact that she has a high M count because Nala Se created her. So she knows. And then she's imprisoned, so we find out that Emery finds that Omega has this high M count. And now Dr. Hemlock is using all of his resources, which is the entire resources of the whole Galactic Empire, to hunt down Omega and find her and bring her back, because she is the one that can create a capable clone of making Palpatine live forever. Simple as that. That's what we found out at the end of Season 3. The question today is, does that mean that Omega is force sensitive, or does that just mean that Omega has the ability to transfer Palpatine's essence into a clone body? These two things, they may sound similar, but they are completely different and completely opposite things. Yes, she could have a high M count, but that doesn't make her force sensitive. Or her blood or genetic makeup, like Anthony said, could also just be able to transfer a high M count like Palpatine's to a clone body. With all that being said, is she force sensitive? It's a big question, because I still think if she is, then the next show after The Bad Batch is going to be about Omega being a bounty hunter / force sensitive with Asajj Ventress, because Asajj Ventress changes the entire name of the game, because she's coming in probably next week's episode, if not the following week, because we know she's in the first 8 episodes. But she's a force sensitive, was a Sith turned Jedi, was a bounty hunter, all that stuff, and she would be the perfect sort of mentor, for lack of a better word, for Omega. In a world where she just lost Hunter, she just lost Crosshair, she just lost Omega, she lost all of her clone brothers. In that world, she would be the perfect mentor, Asajj Ventress that is, for Omega in a post-Bad Batch world. And it could be the next animated show, following Omega with Asajj Ventress, them maybe setting up the hidden path for the Jedi who survived Order 66, because she already helped out Gungi. She already helped out, actually she wasn't there for it, but the other Bad Batch members helped out Caleb Dune, a.k.a. Kanan Jarrus. So she might be on the path of wanting to help Jedi who survived Order 66 escape the Empire, and that could lead to the hidden path. So it could be like a hidden path show that follows Omega and Asajj Ventress, and that would mean that Omega is Force sensitive. But right now, very interesting. I did not see this going this way. The poll, as it stands, is at 50-50. 50-50 so far. 50% of you say yes, 50% of you say no. That's how 50-50 works. But we are currently at 50-50, which is very surprising to me. I did not expect that at all. I thought we were going to be swayed one way or the other. And right now, I'll leave it up. I'll leave the poll up for a while. But right now, we are at 50-50. Your pal Joe, what's up? John Groom, what is up? Star Wars for Life, how we doing? How we doing? Okay. So is she Force sensitive, and why? If you think that she isn't, tell me why. And if you think that she is, please tell me why. So if I were to vote on this poll, by the way, which I can't, I would say yes. I do think she is Force sensitive. Now, that doesn't mean she's going to be Force pushing things, Force choking people, Force doing anything with the Force. She obviously needs training, and she's not going to just be like abnormally good with the Force without any training. She's not Anakin Skywalker, let's put it that way. So, but I do think she has the capability to become Force sensitive. I think the high midichlorian count that was revealed to us in episode 3 allows her to become very strong with the Force. And I think that can happen if she goes and trains with Asajj Ventress. So a lot is riding on Asajj Ventress, and here's why I think that this is going to happen as well. We've seen throughout the first 2 seasons of The Bad Batch a lot of weird things going on with Omega's character regarding her sensing people before they show up, with her having sort of attachments to Force-sensitive beings like Gungi in Season 2. But she just has a weird thing about her, and some people may say that's just her genetic enhancement from being a member of Clone Force 99, or I guess not really a member of Clone Force 99, but she's an altered clone for sure. Or maybe it's Force sensitivity. You could chalk it up to either or. But what makes it even more interesting is that throughout those first 2 seasons, you see her sort of copy people. She copies Hunter when he's trying to track things. She copies Tech all the time in Season 2 especially. And she's copying Crosshair in this 5th episode from last night, when Crosshair's doing all the training with his aim in the early part of the episode with AZ. She's really focused on him. The camera takes a second to really show Omega's point of view, focusing on what Crosshair's doing with his hands, with the gun, and all that stuff. She's learning. She's doing that all the time. She's copying what people do around her. And what makes that very interesting is we got an interview with the voice actress from who voices Asajj Ventress. What the hell's her name? Something Futterman? Somebody help me out in the chat. But we saw an interview with the voice actress from Asajj Ventress. And she said that we will see Omega and Ventress in a scene together. Not only that, Michelle Ang, who voices Omega herself, said that yes, Omega does copy a lot of people. Nika Futterman, thank you, friggins. Nika Futterman. Michelle Ang, who voices Omega, said in an interview recently for Season 3 that her interactions, her trying to copy Asajj Ventress, is a very important part of Omega's growth process throughout this 3rd season. So a very important piece of Omega's character arc throughout this final season is going to be her interactions with Asajj Ventress. Now, why would those be so important? Well, maybe because it's another Force sensitive, the second one that she's come into contact with over the course of this Bad Batch show. The first one being Gungi in the 2nd season, but Gungi doesn't speak English, and he's still a youngling as a Wookiee who's just trying to get home. Asajj Ventress is a fully trained Force user who's been through quite a bit, going from Sith to Bounty Hunter to Jedi. She's been through quite a bit. So, with all that being said, do you guys think that Omega is Force sensitive? And why? Why? Right now, 62%, it's swayed a little bit to the yes side. 62% of you do say yes. And smash a freaking like on the stream if you haven't yet. How do we only have that many likes on the stream? What is that? What? All right, let me see what you guys are talking about. Yoda Joe, what is up? All right, let me scroll up here. Okay, here we go. Fearless says, yes, Mike. That's what I keep saying. That's why I don't think that Omega is force sensitive. Interesting. So you think that it's only because her blood is able to transfer an M count of Palpatine's level from Palpatine to a clone body. You think that's the only reason that they want her that badly? Why would Nala say, let me just play devil's advocate here. Why would Nala say, throw away all the blood samples in the first episode, or the first 3 episodes? Why would she throw away all the blood samples from Omega? Because she knows that her blood is special. That means Nala Se created Omega for a reason. Not a reason to transfer Palpatine's force essence to a different being. No. She created her with the idea to create a being with a high midichlorian count. High M count. TEG says, no, I don't think I will. You don't think you will what? Dustin says, I don't think Omega is force sensitive. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Why? Anthony says, I mean, her DNA makes it possible for Hemlock to create a force-sensitive clone being or an army of force-using clones, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's force-sensitive. That's true, but I'm more saying not just the fact that in episode 3 of this final season, we found out that she has a high M count. I'm not talking about just that fact alone. I'm talking about what we've seen in the first 2 seasons. Her interactions with Gungi, her being able to sense somebody before they walk in the room, like things that are inexplainable that she does in those first 2 seasons. Being able to shoot Crosshair's gun out of his hand before ever even picking up a blaster. These are things that are very similar to what Luke Skywalker was doing, what Anakin Skywalker was doing before they found out that they were force sensitive. Luke Skywalker on Tatooine hitting warp rats from a far distance away, like he was saying when he was about to go blow up the Death Star. Only a force sensitive person, or a person who has a high M count, would be able to do that. Same thing with the pod race in The Phantom Menace with Anakin. He's a little boy. He doesn't have the ability to use the Force, but he trusts his instincts and wins the race. No human has ever been able to win the pod race except for Anakin because he is Force sensitive. All these things that are quote-unquote 1 in a million or coincidence or whatever you want to call it, these are signs of somebody having the ability to use the Force, a.k.a. being Force sensitive. And I think that's what the first 2 seasons of The Bad Batch were setting up. They didn't want Omega to come out and be this all-powerful, force-wielding badass like Rey was in the sequel trilogy. They didn't want that. They wanted to set up a very annoying little character in Omega in the first season, have her go on this character arc through 3 seasons where she grows up a lot and you fall in love with the character, a lot like Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, and then you find out that she's force sensitive. And then you find out that she could be a very powerful character moving forward in a show after The Bad Batch. Not even The Bad Batch itself. After The Bad Batch. Being trained by who else? Asajj Ventress, the character you thought was dead from a canon novel, Dark Disciple. A Night Sister. Sith turned Jedi. Bounty hunter. Does it get much cooler than this? It really doesn't. So the arc that Omega would go on through 3 seasons of this Bad Batch show would be incredible. You got to think about it this way. Omega wasn't even created at the time of the Clone Wars. Clone Wars Season 7 comes out and introduces the Bad Batch as a squad. The Bad Batch as a squad. You would think that the Bad Batch show would just be following Clone Force 99. No. The first episode introduces this character named Omega. And Omega becomes the main character of the entire show. So you meet the Bad Batch in Clone Wars Season 7. And you're like, okay, they're going to make a show about this Clone Force 99. That's pretty cool. I can't wait. But we find out that the main character of the entire show is this little girl in the first episode, who everybody thinks is really annoying, who everybody doesn't really like at all. And then she becomes this really cool character. Come to find out in the first premiere of Season 3 that she has a high M count. And now we're going to meet, now she's going to meet Asajj Ventress? She's going to meet Asajj Ventress? Wow. I honestly think if she's not Force sensitive, I would be let down. At this point, I'd be really, really let down. Not because I got my hopes too high. No. Because I think all the facts, all the road that's been leading us here has been showing us that she is Force sensitive. But if you completely disagree with me, please argue with me. I want to know. I want to know why you don't think that she's Force sensitive. I gots to know. Gots to know. Okay. Star Wars for Life, what is up? Imagine if Omega uses Force Lightning. I doubt that. I appreciate the hearts, guys. I do. I doubt she'll use Force Lightning. That would be a disaster. But it is possible that Omega is not the person who creates the cloned version of Snoke or Palpatine that we see in the sequel trilogy. It's possible that she's the one who creates Dathan. Give me a 1 into the chat if you even know who Dathan is. Anybody know who Dathan is? Give me a 1 into the chat. Okay, Anthony says, remember season 1, Lamasu told Nala Se, I love the Kaminoan names. Nala-Su. Nala Se. It's pretty good. We only got one person in the chat who knows who Dathan is. Dathan is the cloned father of Rey. So he's the cloned version of Palpatine that was not Force sensitive, and he goes off, escapes Exegol, and has a kid, and that kid becomes Rey. So it's possible that Omega is the reason that Dathan gets created. Yeah. Rey's father. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what Anthony said. Remember in season 1, Lamasu told Nala Se to extract the necessary materials from the specimen. Then examined her. To Lamasu, Omega is just a vessel to the end. That's true, but to Nala Se, she is not. Nala Se literally put her life on the line to protect Omega. Multiple times. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, John Groom? John Groom says, maybe Ventress will give Omega a blood transfusion. What? No. Yupala Joe, what is up, says, I think Omega is Force sensitive. It makes the most sense for the story. I agree. If you're going to set up a character like Omega in the first, in a show called The Bad Batch, where you thought you were going to follow this group of altered clones, but that's not going to be the case. You're going to see them all die at the end of their own show. This 3-season show was really just to set up this character of Omega. The only other unaltered clone genetically of Jango Fett, other than Boba Fett. And this whole show was pretty much to set that up. Maggie, what's up? So, Omega's going to survive the show, and she's going to be set up as a very important character moving forward. Could she show up in The Mandalorian in live action? Maybe. Could she get another show after this with Asajj Ventress? Possibly. There's literally no limitations to it. Yeah. I think the reason the Empire is so interested with capturing her, I think it's the reason. Yeah, exactly. The Empire, yes, sure. If she has a high M count and she has the ability to transfer Palpatine's blood, sure, that makes sense. But it also makes more sense that Nala Se would protect her because she already knew, because she created the lady, the fine young lady. Skywalker Academy says, Omega has the Force, but not in the classic sense of being able to move things or fight with a saber. I see her having acutely attuned intuition, like battle meditation from the EU, unless she is trained. Yeah, so she's not trained at all yet. That's the thing. She has very, very, very little experience with Force users at all. The only one she's ever met is Gungi, and he doesn't speak English. He's a Wookiee. So now she's going to meet Asajj Ventress, who does speak English, who's been on both sides of the Force, the light side and the dark. And she's going to learn a lot from Asajj Ventress. Yeah. So I agree with you, Skywalker Academy. I think she does have the Force, but not in a Force push way, a Force pull way, a Force choke way. Nothing like that. She's going to need training. And that training's not going to come in this 3rd season. But it will come eventually, I think. Probably in the next show. Yeah. Alex, what's up? Star Wars for Life says, when she copies Hunter, it's so cute. Yes. Maybe? I don't know. Skywalker Academy says she should have a high M count. Yes, she does. That's what we found out at the end of episode 3. And a high M count, let's put it this way, midichlorian count, as it's explained to us by Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, is the Force lives through all things. Everybody has a midichlorian count in their body. The only difference is some have it higher than others. Yoda was the highest, then Anakin came around. Anakin was the highest because he's the chosen one. Having a higher M count gives you the ability to be a very strong Force user. It doesn't mean you're going to be a very strong Force user. You need training, obviously. So Omega could have a high M count and not get training and never be able to wield the Force. But that means that she's Force sensitive. Force sensitivity and being able to use the Force are two completely different things. One says you're allowed to use the Force, and one says you do use the Force. I'm not saying that she's going to use the Force. I'm just saying that she has the ability to use the Force. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. John Groom. Oh, I just scrolled down to the bottom now. No. Oh, found it. John Groom says, I don't think she's Force sensitive. Okay, interesting. I just think her blood is the key to making clones of those who are Force sensitive, which is Palpatine's goal. Let's put it this way. Let me put it in a different light completely. Go to The Mandalorian. Why did they need Grogu's blood? Grogu's blood. Dr. Pershing says that Grogu's blood is a high enough M count, but they run out of it, so they can't make clones. But it does have a high enough sufficient M count for Moff Gideon, who isn't Force sensitive, to create Force sensitive clones of himself. Why did they need Grogu? Because Grogu is Force sensitive. You can't make a Force sensitive clone without a high M count, and the high M count comes from a person who is Force sensitive. Grogu is one of the most, he's of a Yoda species, so he's one of the highest M counts in the whole entire galaxy. And with Grogu's blood, they create at least 10 to 12 Force sensitive clones of Moff Gideon. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys here. Not that Omega's as powerful as Grogu could be, but that they have a very similar M count, one that's sufficient enough to create a Force sensitive clone. With that being said, Omega's Force sensitive. I rest my case. Fearless says, now she starts copying Crosshair and learning to become a sniper. Yeah, but she already was able to hit Crosshair's gun out of his hand from across a hangar bay without ever picking up a blaster before. The shot is 1 in a million, like Luke Skywalker in the Death Star, like Anakin Skywalker winning a pod race, like a Force-sensitive being who has no training. Yoda Joe, what's up? Says, what's going on, man? How you doing? What did I miss? You missed quite a bit. Just kidding. I think you got here early enough to know what's going on. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you? Nick, what's up? Says, how she learned how to shoot her bow with precision pretty quick was a sign for me too. Yeah, she was just too weak to be able to hold that, and that's kind of what Sid taught her, was just to be stronger. But the fact that she's able to hit stuff with such accuracy with that bow, the fact that she's able to fly the ship pretty easily when Tech's teaching her in season 2, all these are just signs of being Force sensitive. And it seems like a no-brainer to me. And by the way, we are up to 68% of you guys agree with me. 68% say yes, she is Force sensitive. But that still means that 32% of you say no. So 32% of you are still on the side of no, she's not Force sensitive. But tell me why. Tell me why. Please. Because I got to tell you why you're
incorrect.
That's one of my favorite things. That's just so good. I mean, come on.
Incorrect.
Can we all just admit here, complete side note, can we all just admit that episode 5 of Ahsoka was just peak? It was so good. Can we just admit that? Like, it was just chef's kiss. Like, it was
incorrect.
So good. So good. I might go rewatch that after the stream, actually. Yeah. So good. So good. That was completely off topic, so let's keep reading. Anthony says, what would be interesting is if we end up seeing Omega, when all is said and done, becoming a lone soldier / operative / bounty hunter under the tutelage of Ventress. That's what I'm saying. how would that not be like the coolest next show, animated show? If not a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show, which would be incredible, why not have it be an Omega show? Following Omega after she lost all of her clone brothers and she's completely lost in the galaxy with Asajj Ventress. It'll be awesome. Maggie says the math is mathing. It's mathing for now. Once I end the polls, when it usually isn't mathing. Yeah. Fearless says Omega's blood is able to take a high M count without degrading, which is what they need to make a perfect clone for Palpatine. Okay, but here's how this works. Her blood in general, unless it has a high midichlorian count, is not sufficient in transferring or creating, for lack of a better word, a Force-sensitive clone. She has to have a high M count to do so. Yeah. Yeah. John Groom says, maybe at the time the idea was to clone Jedi, and now she's trying to prevent from cloning a Sith. So you're saying at the time, Nala Se created Omega so that they could clone Jedi, not Sith. I appreciate the hearts, guys. It always distracts me. I like the hearts, but it always shows up like right there in my point of my peripheral vision, so I can see it, and then it distracts me. I lost my train of thought completely. So maybe Nala Se created Omega so that they could clone Jedi, but Jedi didn't want to clone themselves. That's a thing of the Sith. That's not what the Jedi want to do. It's me. What's up? Says, what do you think when Leslie Headland described the Acolyte as Frozen meets Kill Bill? Did she say that? What does that even mean? Frozen? Like the Disney movie Frozen? What does that mean? I don't know what to make of that. That's quite the comparison. Frozen meets Kill Bill? Those two couldn't be less alike. I really don't know what to make of that. It's me, so I don't know. I really don't know. Your pal Joe says, not Star Wars, but my favorite video game series is getting a show on Amazon Prime. Fallout as a TV show has me more hyped than anything this year. I did see the trailer for that, actually. It looks pretty good. I've actually never played a Fallout game before, so I could not get as hyped as you, but that's awesome. It does look cool. I just finished Avatar, the Last Airbender live action version, a couple days ago. Whew, that's good. It just got renewed for Season 2 and Season 3. Really, really good. I still haven't gone out to see Dune 2. I still got to rewatch Dune 1 so I can catch up on that. It's been years. But Dune 2, I got to go watch it. From all the reviews I've heard, everybody's saying this movie's absolutely incredible. Has anybody in the chat seen Dune 2? It's absolutely incredible from what I'm hearing. So I got to go watch it, see it for myself. But yeah, obviously no spoilers if you have seen it, but tell me if you did. Skywalker Academy says, until we get to Omega. I don't know what that means, but yes. Yoda Joe says, I agree. I think this is great. And I might have to do my own video talking about it and what it means for the future of some of these characters, specifically Ventress. Yeah, I think all this is leading to Ventress at this point, and I think Ventress will be in the next episode. Yeah. Fearless says, and I think, since I rewatched Season 1, Omega was created by Nala Se in her private laboratory, as were the Bad Batch after her. She combined every enhancement that she had for the Bad Batch, just one half. See, here's where I think that's not the case. I've heard this theory as well, that Omega's not Force sensitive. She's just a combination of all the Bad Batch, all their enhancements, from Crosshair being able to shoot really well, Hunter being able to track people, Wrecker's strength, and Tech's smarts, all combined into Omega. Here's where I think that's wrong. First of all, she doesn't have Wrecker's strength at all. But second of all, these Bad Batch enhancements were created after her. Like you just said, Omega was created first. So they didn't have the ability to make somebody with these enhancements before that. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says 10,000 M count. Higher or lower? What do I think she has? I have no idea. I don't know. John Groom says, my big question is who is behind the ray shields providing the blood samples for all the testing? It's got to be a living being to provide all that fresh blood? That's a good question, because the Vault, as they're calling it, Project Necromancer on Mount Tantus has about, what was it, 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 or something like that, Bacta tanks in that vault that are all sealed off, that are supplying blood to the tests from these clones, because we see the blood that gets dropped into the to the clone blood. A lot of people thought that was Palpatine's, but that's a lot of blood for Palpatine to be giving at all times. This guy can't just be giving all that blood. So maybe who's ever in those Bacta tanks could be Force sensitives, could be Jedi who the Empire has captured, could be characters like Barriss Offee. It's definitely possible. That is possible. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, that could be the case. There could be 10 Jedi who were hunted down by the Empire, put in Bacta tanks, and now their blood is being used to provide for this experiment. That could be possible. Yeah. Anthony says, it's perplexed and disturbed me as one who reads the High Republic that not much that mirrors those movies. What? I heard Yoda's not in the series. Oh, you're talking about the Acolyte. Okay. As one who read the High Republic, there's not much that mirrors these movies. I heard that Yoda's not in the series because Headland wasn't allowed to. Yoda's a little different because I don't think, yes, Yoda is obviously around, but Yoda would probably just be on Coruscant. And I don't know how much Coruscant we're going to be getting in this show. I think it's going to be more revolved around the Sith rather than the Jedi. And yes, we will see Jedi in the show, but I don't know if Yoda's going to be all that important to that. Okay. Oh, I get you, Fearless. It was like 1 out of 2. Okay. So you said, I rewatched season 1. Omega was created by Nala Se in a laboratory with the Bad Batch, where she's a combination of all the enhancements of each of the Bad Batch. Omega has all of that in her and the ability to take a high M count. Nala Se surely knew what she did. I, again, don't think that those enhancements were created before with Omega. And I think she was the first sort of M count success. Here's the thing. She doesn't have the accelerated aging. That's another thing. Like, Nala Se just created Omega as her own sort of pet project. Jango Fett created Boba Fett as a son for him, but he didn't ask for a daughter. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. Omega probably is a super clone, or just a Force sensitive clone. She's the first ever Force sensitive clone. Yeah. John Groom says, we haven't been told Omega has a high M count. All we've been told is that her blood is capable of absorbing blood with a high M count without any degradation. Yes and no. A person with normal blood without a high M count is not going to be able to, like you're saying, absorb the high M count blood, be capable of absorbing that blood. That's impossible. She has to have a high M count. I'm not saying that she has to be able to wield the Force, but I'm saying that she has to have a high M count to be able to do that. And that's why Nala Se knew that. Pal Joe says, I feel like Omega is the Winter Soldier of the Bad Batch. How so? Where she masters every member of the team's abilities. That's not the Winter Soldier. That's, what's that character's name? Taskmaster. Yeah. Yeah. Anthony says, that's exactly what I've suspected. Since season 1, she's what Lama Su referred to as the ultimate clone soldier. Hence, that's why she's something akin to Captain America / the Winter Soldier. But she's not a soldier at all. She's not created to be a soldier at all. If she was, then she'd have the accelerated growth and she'd be a soldier. She's not a soldier, and she never was a soldier on Kamino. She wasn't trained to be a soldier. She wasn't any of that. I think the ultimate clone soldiers that she's talking about in that first season are the Bad Batch themselves. I appreciate the hearts, guys. I do. Skywalker Academy says frozen in carbonite. Who? What? Alex says, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing on this great? How's everybody doing today? Is doing great. How's everyone's day is going great? What? Will we see the return of OP Pitt? Who's OP Pitt? I forget who that is. Hang on. OP Pitt. Star Wars. Who is this? What are you talking about? I don't know what that is. Well, maybe. What's up, Alex? Damn it, just scroll down to the bottom. Okay, here we go. I think Omega will be frozen in carbonite at the end of the show. That would be something. I seriously doubt it, but that would be kind of cool. Nick says, does Boba have a different M count? Is he force sensitive? Well, there's no way for us to know that. There's absolutely no way for us to know that, but I would say no. I don't think Boba Fett is force sensitive by any means. But I don't know. I really don't. We have no way of knowing whether Jango Fett was or had a high M count or whether Boba does now. And it doesn't necessarily mean that because one person is force sensitive, the next person will be. Even in a cloning effort, Moff Gideon's not force sensitive. His clones are. Now, obviously, that's because Grogu's blood was injected into the equation. But Palpatine was force sensitive, and his clone, Dathan, who is Rey's dad, wasn't force sensitive. It's not always a one-to-one. Even a father and son, or a mother and daughter, or a mother and son, that's not going to be the same either. Padme wasn't force sensitive, and although Anakin was, both their kids were. And just because Anakin's force sensitive and the chosen one doesn't mean that Shmi Skywalker is force sensitive. So it's not always because the parent is, the child is, or because the clone is, the supplier of the clone blood is. That's not always the case. Yeah. Brian, what's up? Brian says, I don't believe that she is force sensitive yet. Rather, is capable of becoming force sensitive. Okay, Brian, but you just contradicted yourself. Being force sensitive is the being able to use the force later down the line. You're saying that force sensitivity is being able to use the force. No. Force sensitivity is having the ability to use the force. And that's what you're kind of saying there. She is capable of using the force later down the line if she has training. And that is being force sensitive. So yes, I do think she is force sensitive right now. And she'll have the capability of using the force later down the line when she gets trained by Asajj freaking Ventress, who I think will show up in next week's episode, because we got a double up episode next week. Whew. This is a lot. I've been talking quite a bit. Somebody count all the words I've said this stream in the last 50 minutes. I must have said over 1 million words. 1 million? That sounds like a lot. Over 1,000 words. Yeah. By the way, guys, we just passed 9,500 subscribers yesterday. We are getting so close to 10,000. So I'm going to start making that thumbnail for the 10,000 subscriber stream tonight probably. And hopefully that stream happens next week, I think. Maybe if not the following week, which would kind of stink because I'm going away the following week, but that's okay. We'll figure it out, but we're definitely doing a live stream to celebrate 10,000, and hopefully we can get that live stream so that we come across 10,000 live on the stream and we can have a countdown together. That would be awesome. But yeah, just had to shout that out real quick. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Anthony says, I also believe that she's unique in that she's her reproductive system make it possible for her to create other superior offspring regardless of whomever she mates with. That's special. Interesting. But again, like I said, it doesn't mean if she becomes a parent of a child, that does not necessarily mean that her child is going to be force sensitive. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says no Asajj until after episode 8. Well, that's impossible because we know that she's in an episode before episode 8, at least. Because the critics got to see the first 8 episodes and they saw Asajj Ventress. We know that for a fact. So they got to see the first episodes. Asajj was in the first 8 episodes. And in those first 8 episodes, she was interacting with Omega. We know all of this for a fact. So she is in either next week's 2 episodes or the week after, because the week after is episode 8. She has to be in one of those episodes. I think she's probably going to be in the next 2 episodes, but that's just me. Yeah. I appreciate the hearts, guys. Are your fingers getting tired spamming that heart thing? Can everybody in the chat right now just spam the heart like... I want to see how many hearts can be sent at the same time. I'm waiting for just the spam. That's weak. That's really weak. That's weak. Oh, okay. Okay, impressive. I like it. Okay, calm down. Okay. Shadow Warrior. Yeah, Shadow Warrior, the greatest episode ever.
Incorrect.
But that's not incorrect. It's very correct. Yeah. Okay. Yoda Joe says, I agree. My favorite episode of the show, having Hayden back, meant so much to me. Yeah, it was great. Not to get off topic or anything. Maggie says, that made me actually finish watching the series. Really? What's y'all's best Star Wars joke? I don't know. Brandon says, the Force resists entering into a copy. Yeah, creating a Force-sensitive clone is supposed to be extremely difficult. The iPhone doesn't show the hearts? Oh, that's lame. But whatever. That's okay. Creating a Force-sensitive clone is supposed to be extremely difficult. That's shown in Legends mostly, but it is also shown in canon a little bit. But it's supposed to be extremely difficult. That's why it doesn't, happen. It takes Palpatine decades and decades to actually make it happen. And even then, it doesn't happen well. Look at him in Rise of Skywalker. He's deteriorating and dying because his body is not strong enough to hold his essence. So it's not an easy thing to do, by all means. So it's supposed to be a very difficult task. Yeah. Dune Part 2 is fantastic. I dropped my review 2 days ago. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. Wow, that's some high stuff right there. Yeah. High praise. I'm going to have to go check it out. Fearless says, oh, damn it, just go down to the bottom. Mike, Omega was created first and the Bad Batch after her. From her material. Now let's say put just one enhancement in each of the clones from Omega. No. I don't think Omega helped in creating the Bad Batch, like her specifically. I think the Bad Batch were just enhanced clones that Nalase created after her. But maybe you're onto something. Nalase wanted to rescue Omega because she knows. I know she knows that she can create a Force-sensitive clone from Omega's material. Omega is the key, the blueprint, whatever you want to call it. I think she is obviously the key to all this, but it's because she's Force-sensitive. Omega herself could be the key to saving everything, because if she grows up and learns to wield the Force, she could be the key to all of it. She's the Luke Skywalker before the Luke Skywalker ever happens, kind of thing, you know? So if she gets the training from Obi-Wan, then she could be the key to defeating the Empire. But that's not the case. And maybe Nalase knows that. And that's why she's trying to keep her safe from the Empire. Yeah. She's the key to all of it. How did Gungi survive Order 66? I don't think it's ever shown to us how Gungi survives it. But, yeah, I don't think that... Yeah, we never see that. But a lot of Jedi could have survived Order 66 because either a Jedi's not around clones at the time, or they're just doing something else, like just taking a crap or something. Like they're not around other clones, so the clones can't execute Order 66. Yeah. Oh, O.P. Pitt is in the Resistance, animated during the First Order era? Okay. Well then, no, I don't think we'll see him. John Groom says, do we know for sure that the blood, that blood capable of absorbing midichlorians has to already have a high level of midichlorians? Couldn't it just be genetic abnormally? Do we know for sure that the blood capable of absorbing midichlorians already has a high midichlorian? Okay, here's the thing. This is not what we're talking about. Her blood is not absorbing Palpatine's blood. That's not what's going on. her blood has to have a high M count so that her blood can withstand Palpatine's blood. Palpatine has a high M count. The person's blood, if it doesn't have a high M count, is just going to be destroyed. The clone body is going to be destroyed by Palpatine. And that's why he's deteriorating in episode 9. By The Rise of Skywalker, they still haven't figured this thing out. They haven't. Because his body's still deteriorating. That's why he has no fingers. That's why his body's all decrepit. That's why he looks the way that he does in Rise of Skywalker. The M count of the clone host has to be the same or around the same of Palpatine, like Grogu's is in The Mandalorian, to not be overtaken by Palpatine's and deteriorate. So the M count has to be high enough. It's not that the blood is able to absorb the blood, because if that were the case, it would be deteriorated and destroyed. The M count has to be sufficient enough or high enough at the same level. Is this graph really working for you guys? This is Palpatine. This is the clone body. It has to be the same or more so that it doesn't get overshadowed by Palpatine and deteriorates. I don't know if I could explain that any better. It's a hard thing to understand because Palpatine's blood is so high. He's got a high M count. Anakin's is higher. Yoda's is higher. Grogu's is probably higher. But Omega's might be on the same level. And that's why it doesn't get deteriorated by the others. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I mean, I might be making no sense. I might be like I'm crazy up here. I might look like I'm crazy. Do I look like I'm crazy? Because maybe I am. Fortress Inquisitorius, what's up? If that makes sense, the clone body has to be sufficient enough to not be taken over by Palpatine's blood and deteriorate completely. So the M count has to be sufficient enough to be equal, higher, or around the same level of Palpatine. Yes? Maybe? Possibly? Maybe? Ian says, Boba is meant to be a completely unaltered clone of Jango Fett. Yes. True. So he's probably not force sensitive is what you're saying. Yeah. Damn it, just scroll down to the bottom again. Skywalker Academy says, no, I have verification otherwise. Verification otherwise of what? Asajj not being in the first 8 episodes? Well, we know for a fact she is. Friggin says, the next 2 episodes, infiltration and extraction. Let's speculate. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. Because I think for sure Ventress is going to be in these next 2 episodes. But, I mean, maybe it's episode 8, but probably these next 2 episodes. It's a double-up episode. They know it's going to be really hyped. It's like why we got Palpatine in the first premiere, because it was a triple-up episode. We just hit over 20 people here. I appreciate all you being here. And can we get some more likes, please? I appreciate it. So next week's episodes are both infiltration and extraction. Now, we thought before the season started that this would be the infiltration of Mount Tantus, and this would be the extraction of Omega and Crosshair from Mount Tantus. However, that happened in the first 3 episodes. It happened in the first premiere. So that's no longer the case. What is being infiltrated? What's being extracted? Maybe it's still Mount Tantus. Maybe it's the clone brothers that are on Mount Tantus, but that would end the entire show in episodes 6 and 7. So I think the infiltration might be the Empire infiltrating Pabu, because we saw that in one of the trailers, and the extraction is going to be bounty hunters or the Empire extracting Omega from the Bad Batch, bringing Omega back to Mount Tantus. But that's just me. You guys tell me what you think that means in the chat, of course. But I also think this is going to involve the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters coming to hunt down Omega, Cad Bane, Fennec Shand, and maybe Asajj Ventress. Yeah. Maybe, just maybe. Skywalker Academy says, bounty hunters may be in the next 2 episodes, but not Asajj. I think Asajj is actually going to be a bounty hunter in these next 2 episodes. I think she's either working for the Empire or is going to be hired by the Bad Batch themselves to help out. Yeah, I think that's where Asajj is going to be brought into play. I don't know where else she could be. Like, we're not just going to happen upon Asajj Ventress. I think she's going to be hired as a bounty hunter by somebody. Somebody. Yeah. Jar Jar is the key to all this? Yeah, of course. How could I forget? Nick says, what percentage would you give to green lighting an Omega spinoff? What percentage would I give to having Omega spinoff be the next show? Is that what you're asking? Or at least one of the next shows? I'd give it a 60% right now. 60%. Now that might change as we come closer and closer to the end of this series, but right now it seems like a no-brainer. If Omega's going to survive and the rest of the Bad Batch Bad Batch brothers are going to die, Hunter, Crosshair, Wrecker, all going to die, and Omega's story is going to continue. It's not going to continue in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show that already happened. It's not going to continue in the Rebels show that already happened, in the original trilogy, in the Mandoverse, because she's never been seen in any of that. So it has to be continued in a Omega spinoff show. So right now I'd say 60-ish%. Now that might go up, and that might go down, but right now I'm at 60%. Yeah. Yeah. That's where I'm at. Darth Jar Jar? Oh no. Friggin says, the spinoff will be Boba and Omega getting into wacky hijinks. I don't know if Boba's going to be involved in that show too much. I think he would be in that show because of him and Omega both being unaltered clones of Jango Fett. Obviously, one's more unaltered than the other, but they are brother and sister, and both don't age rapidly like all the other clones. So I think them meeting is inevitable. I just don't know if Boba will play a main part in that show. I think it will more likely focus on Omega and Asajj Ventress rather than Omega and Boba Fett, if that makes sense. Brian Fraser says, what I mean by not Force sensitive yet is that Omega is a clone of clones and not normally allowed. Is a clone of clones, and they are not normally endowed with the Force. I believe further experimentation will prompt the Force to enter into her. Wow. That would be insane if the Force just entered into her. I don't think that's possible. But yeah. Maggie says, it would be weird to have a mastermind and an idiot as the only two Sith. It wouldn't work. Oh, you mean like Palpatine and Jar Jar? Jar Jar's not an idiot. Maybe he's an idiot. Fortress Inquisitorius, what's up? Over 20,000. That's higher than Yoda's. What? What are you talking about? No, Mike, it doesn't make sense because that's not the case. I don't know what you're talking about. John Group says, I 100% understand what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense. I just don't agree. Well, that can be perfectly okay, too. One of us is going to be right, okay? The 32% of you that still voted no could be right. The 68% of you that voted yes could be right. I just think that she is Force sensitive for all the reasons I've said before. From everything that we've seen through the first two seasons, and, of course, her being able to not be completely deteriorated or overcome by Palpatine's blood. And that's not going to mean that she is going to use the Force, but it means that she has the ability to train to become a Force sensitive. And it's going to be revealed to us very soon over the next couple weeks as we go into the back half of this season whether or not she's going to be Force sensitive. It's going to be told to us quite plainly and simply. I thought episode 3 was plain and simple enough at the end of episode 3, but I guess it wasn't. I guess it was too cryptic. Yeah. What you're talking about? We're talking about Omega and her being Force sensitive or not. Yeah. Who believes the Darth Jar Jar theory? I don't. I like it as a joke, but I don't like it. I don't think it's true. Yeah. Fortress Inquisitorius says, more than likely that she is Force sensitive. I agree. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I agree. Someone escaped. Yeah, a lot of people come in and out. I get it. Don't worry about it. Hire the bounty hunters now. Okay, I'm on it. Brian says, to date, Snoke has been the only clone to successfully be Force sensitive at creation. Moff Gideon's clones were technically force sensitive. They just didn't get out of their bacta tanks yet. But yes, Snoke was, as far as we know, Snoke is the first successful force sensitive clone. But again, is Snoke a clone? Who is he a clone of? He's not Palpatine, clearly. So what is Snoke? Literally a decade after The Force Awakens has come out, almost a decade, 9 years, and we still don't even know who Snoke is. We still don't even know. We don't know. We have no clue. Not the slightest clue of who Snoke is, which is crazy. Yeah. Wild. Skywalker Academy says, but Asajj is a Jedi, and she was betrayed by the Empire. She wouldn't be working for them. She's more of a bounty hunter than a Jedi. But I agree. I don't think she would be working for the Empire unless she really, really needed some credits. So I think it's more likely that she'll be working for the Bad Batch. Yeah. Maggie says, she wasn't betrayed by the Empire. She was betrayed by Dooku and the Separatists, and the Empire didn't do anything to her. Yeah, that's true. She probably doesn't have anything against the Empire because it was Dooku. You're probably right. So she would likely still work for the Empire. Yeah. Yeah. Fearless says, you have to remember what this show is about. It's about the clones, what happens to them, and what's going on with Project Necromancer. That has nothing to do with becoming a Jedi. That's true. And I still think that the Bad Batch will go down that route. This final season will end with the sacrifice of probably Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, and Echo, and probably them destroying Mount Tantus. And that's when we'll see Palpatine's cloning efforts have to shift to Exegol in a safe planet very far away from everything else. So Mount Tantus will probably be destroyed in a sacrifice play by the Bad Batch. Omega will probably survive, and that's how the show will probably end. But it's still setting up a future for Omega's character. Yeah. Maggie says, what? I just scrolled down to the bottom. No. Where was I? Oh, here we go. Nick says, do you think that we will get to see Vader appear and wipe out the Bad Batch? You'll have all the resources, Palpatine says. Yeah, I do think so. I actually do think we'll see Vader in this third and final season. I think actually Asajj Ventress is going to be the one that pulls him out because Asajj has a lightsaber, and once they hear that there's a Jedi involved, that's sort of when Vader comes along, because Vader is supposed to be hunting down all the Jedi who survived Order 66 at this time. So it is very likely that we will see Vader, and he could wipe out all the Bad Batch. My issue with that is if anybody, even Omega, comes into contact with Vader in the form of a battle and survives, that will go down as a huge problem with a lot of Star Wars fans, myself included. But if she just meets Vader and it's like, what's up, Vader? How's it going? And shakes his hand and gets his autograph, that'll be different. That'll be completely different if she's just in the same room as him. But if there's a battle going on and she survives with Vader being there, that's a problem. Yeah. But I do hope that we do get to see Vader. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, technically, it was Palpatine behind the whole thing. That's true, but Asajj wouldn't know that. Palpatine was behind the whole Clone Wars army, or Clone Wars battle. He wouldn't know that. Yeah. Would not know that. John Groom says, look at that, Mike. It's possible for Star Wars fans to disagree and still go on. Yeah. Look at that. Well, that was the whole gist of making this channel, was creating an environment where Star Wars fans can disagree. Star Wars fans either can like Attack of the Clones or dislike Attack of the Clones. I don't know why I use Attack of the Clones. The Last Jedi, which is the most divisive Star Wars movie, or hate The Last Jedi, or like the sequel trilogy, or dislike the sequel trilogy. And the point is you can come here, voice your opinion, and not get absolutely shit on like you would on X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram, or other YouTube comment sections. That's kind of the whole gist of this channel, is to create a more positive environment. And that's why the people who love Star Wars are the people who love Star Wars, and not the people who kind of maybe hate on other people who like Star Wars. Yeah. But yes, John, it's very nice that we can get a group of people together, a group of at least 16 people right now, currently, together for a live stream that can talk about Star Wars, disagree with whether or not Omega's Force sensitive or not, and have a civilized conversation. It really is.
This is where the fun begins.
Where the fun begins. Fearless says, we'll find out when they dive deeper into Nala Se's datapad. I want to know what they found about the clones, and especially Omega. Yeah, all we found out in episode 5 was from Nala Se's datapad, all we found out is a bunch of cloning stuff. But on Nala Se's datapad would be what they're trying to do. No? Maybe? Possibly? Quinlan probably told her? Oh, about the Empire? Yeah, but again, Quinlan probably wouldn't know either. Here's an interesting thing, or question, because Quinlan's obviously in the thumbnail for this video. Do you guys think that Quinlan Vos will be in this 3rd season? We know Asajj Ventress is. She's in the trailer. But Asajj comes to the light side because she falls in love with Quinlan Vos. Do you think we'll see Quinlan in this 3rd season? It's a question. It is a question. Did I read Dark Disciple? Yes, I did. I read it all the way through because I had to. I read it a long time ago, like when it first came out. But I had to reread it because I was like, well, does Asajj Ventress die at the end? And she technically does, but she's brought to Dathomir and put in a pool of on Dathomir where she could easily be resurrected or saved, even if she's not dead. Yeah. Where is Quinlan during Order 66? We don't know. A lot of Jedi that survived, we don't know where they were during Order 66. We just know that they survived. Yeah. Ian says, Ventress knew that Dooku answered to Sidious. That's true, but she didn't know who Sidious was. And she probably still doesn't know that that's the same person that's running the Empire. No, maybe she does. Maybe she does. I don't know. Maybe she does. But I'm just saying, if she's working for the Empire, I wouldn't be that surprised about it. We'll put it that way. Yeah. We haven't been told where Quinlan was yet. Yeah, no, we haven't. John Groom says, that's a good point. I always thought that Snoke was a clone, but if he was, then Palpatine's clone. If he was, then Palpatine's clone, would it be as good or better? Unless he was just a clone and we found another hole in the sequel's writing. Yeah, no, so he wasn't a clone of Palpatine. Snoke was not a clone of Palpatine because he would look like Palpatine. A clone of a person looks like the person. Even Omega, who's a female clone of Jango Fett, still looks like Jango Fett. So Snoke would have to look like Palpatine, and he doesn't. Snoke is a clone of somebody else. Maybe he has Palpatine's blood inside of him. Maybe he's being used as Palpatine as a puppet, but he's a clone of some other being. He's not Palpatine. So his body is something else. And we just don't know what it is. We still don't know to this day. Yeah. I thought Snoke was around to train someone to kill Palpatine. What? I don't think so. I don't know what you're talking about. Lots of evidence and still having fun. Oh, we're always having fun. Brian says, Snoke was cloned using a strandcast method of cloning used by the Sith Eternal. He was built using several different genetic samples, spliced DNA. The Force as an entity resists entering into a copy. And that's why he's so messed up, you're saying? So yeah, obviously he's not a direct clone of Palpatine. He has Palpatine's genetics inside of him. I appreciate the hearts. But yeah, he's not a direct clone of Palpatine, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. John Groom says, I can't believe we would get a Quinlan name drop in Kenobi only to never see him again. Yeah, that was kind of lame. I wish we got to see Quinlan in Kenobi, but there was really no room for him in that. But regardless, Quinlan could still be seen because we know for a fact that he's alive during the time of Kenobi. He could be seen in Jedi Survivor or Jedi 3, whatever they're calling it, Jedi 3. But he also could be seen in this Bad Batch Season 3 as well. Yeah. Maggie says, and that's why this is an amazing channel. I cannot say how fun it is to be here at the live streams and in the Discord and know that there's people to voice their opinions and have their own opinions valued. It's great. Well, I appreciate that, Maggie. That's kind of the goal here, and that's nice to hear. Yeah. And Felix says, absolutely agree. Me too. Snoke is must be part Kaminoan the way he looks. Kaminoans are really the only other species in the galaxy that look the way that Snoke does. Snoke is like really, really tall, massive looking dude, and nobody else looks like that, except for maybe the Kaminoans. So maybe he does have part Kaminoan in there in his genetic pool. It's definitely possible. Yeah, it's definitely possible. By the way, we are 70-30 right now. 70-30. 70% of you do think that Omega is force sensitive, and 30% do not. John Groom says, didn't say Snoke was a clone of Palpatine. I said that if Snoke was a clone, then surely Palpatine's clone could have been a good or bad. Wait, could have been as good or bad than good or better than Snoke. Yes, if Palpatine created a clone of himself, yeah, it would be better than Snoke. I agree with you. Yes. Yes, I think. I don't even know anymore. Can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Bum bum. It's been such a long time since Rise of Skywalker, 5 years almost, and we still don't even know what the hell happened in that movie. Maybe Snoke escaped? You mean getting cut in half? We saw him die on screen. Okay, let's dive into some of these articles here. We'll come off of the Bad Batch force sensitivity stuff for a second here, and let's talk about John Williams. Do you guys know who John Williams is? Put a 1 into the chat if you know who John Williams is. Please, I better see at least 15 ones in the chat right now. John Williams is, of course, the GOAT himself. I'm dragging on this description of him so that you guys can put a 1 into the chat. Okay, I see a bunch of ones. Okay, good. John Williams is the GOAT himself, the composer who made all of the iconic music from not the Bad Batch, from Star Wars, all the Star Wars movies. And we got an article from Variety talking about his legacy and talking about Star Wars. And this is actually pretty funny because he wrote Leia and Luke's songs as a love story. Let's read this. This is pretty cool. This is coming from Variety. John Williams faces his legacy. 54 Oscar nominations. 54 is crazy. Star Wars mistakes and changing the movies forever. All right. Here we go. Harrison Ford cannot escape the 2.5-minute fanfare that John Williams composed for his most famous cinematic hero, Indiana Jones. Dun, 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 dun. Literally just saying, dun, 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 dun. You guys knew exactly what I was singing. As I often remind John, his music follows me everywhere I go. Literally, Ford said. When I had my last colonoscopy, they were playing it in the operating room speakers. That's hilarious. Creating those big, bold, brassy musical moments has become Williams's trademark over the 7-decade career. 7 decades. Without his symphonic genius, some of the most indelible images, in movie history, from E.T.'s flight across the moon to the ravenous shark zeroing in on the unsuspecting swimmers of Jaws, obviously, would have lacked their singular power. So John Williams, of course, did Star Wars. But let's be honest, he did a lot more than just Star Wars. Star Wars is probably the most massive thing ever. But he did Jaws, he did E.T., he did the early Harry Potter movies, he did Jurassic Park, he did, I'm missing a million of them, Indiana Jones, obviously. He did so many soundtracks for all the iconic things. You think about the Force theme, you think about the Indiana Jones dun 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 dun, you think about doo 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 doo. Jaws. You think about Jurassic Park. Doo 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 doo. Again, Harry Potter. Doo 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 doo. That was Star Wars. Damn it. Can't even get it off my mind. But he did all of the iconic soundtracks. But let's talk about this. This year, John Williams is resetting the record books again with his Academy Award nomination for the best original score for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's his 54th nomination, which is the most ever for someone who's not named Walt Disney, and thus the biggest tally for any living person in any non-producer period. So he has the most nominations from any non-producer ever, but the most nominations from any living person because Walt Disney only has more than him. People ask about a legacy, Williams said as he sits in the Alabine screening room of the Universal lot adjacent to his bungalow office. If I could be remembered as someone who did his job well and remembered as a good, solid musician, I would rest very happily. So that's what he had to say about it. This is pretty cool. He's got his Oscar right there. Okay. But here's what he talks about Star Wars, I believe. Should we just fast forward to this? Let's fast forward to this. Okay. The whole world can agree. He really should have won more than 5. He's only won 5? Okay, we're reading this paragraph before. I skipped this paragraph, but it seems quite important here. Even though he's not ready to surrender his staff line paper and pencil with which he's written his scores, Williams, at 92 years old, he looks pretty damn good for 92, I must say. This guy is 92 years old. That's crazy. Okay, 92 years old. Is also the oldest person to be nominated for an Oscar. Interesting. Asked Williams what the 54 nominations meant to him, he said, well, I've lost 49 of them. Or something like that. Though for him, the initial nods that came from the music branch are the main thing because the selection process is that of your peer group. And so their approval and appreciation is doubly meaningful. Okay, doubly meaningful. Part of it is being very lucky and being able to work as long as I've been able to do, health-wise, and opportunity-wise. Obviously, he's been in the same thing for 7 decades, same industry. And I don't think one ever gets really jaded at the point where these things are meaningless, certainly not in my case. So he has only won 5. That's insane. That's insane. Okay, moving on. The whole world can agree. He really should have won more than 5. Not that the list of wins he does have make him anything like a Susan Lucci of the Oscars. I don't even know who that is. But after all, he prevailed with Jaws, Star Wars, E.T., The Extraterrestrial, Schindler's List. I didn't know he did that. Schindler's List, to name a few. I mean, you named 4. You couldn't name the 5th one that he won on? So, to name a few of the most masterful scores in movie history. And his dozens of nominations are just one measure among many in keeping proper scores of a filmography so distinguished that someone ought to write it a theme song. Write his own filmography a theme song? That's pretty funny. Okay, let's get to this. This is just his backstory now. I want to get to this Star Wars stuff. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. Star Wars was not the one-off that Williams had imagined, inspiring sequels, spin-offs, and streaming series that continue to this day. Now, obviously, he does not do the scores for the shows. Ludwig, what is his name? Ludwig Göransson? Garrison does the Mandalorian, or he did the first couple seasons of the Mandalorian, and of course Kiner does the animated shows, and he did Ahsoka. But Williams, of course, does the movies. They continue to this day, and Williams' music and its just okay. Let's get to where he talks about Star Wars. Transcends power. Doing it at the time, I didn't think that it was radical, he said. What made it radical was the embrace that it had. People seemed to have been starving for this kind of expression, and here was the vehicle into which it could be put. So people, he thinks, Ludwig Göransson. Thanks, Skywalker Academy, but that didn't help. I appreciate it though. So Kevin Kiner, yes. So he's just saying that Star Wars was the perfect movie to put this soundtrack into. And of course, the two, Star Wars itself, the Force, lightsabers, all that stuff, and his soundtrack were the perfect formula for the massive hit that Star Wars became. So this is what he went on to say, though. There was one blip in scoring the first movie, though. He said, I mistakenly wrote a love theme for Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker. I learned later that they were brother and sister. So it was an incestuous idea to have the love theme for them. But George never told us, okay? Good. That they were going to, that's what was going to be that there was going to be a second film. So it was originally written as a love song between Leia and Luke. And obviously you can't blame the guy. They literally kiss in the second movie. How is he supposed to know that they're going to become brother and sister? Okay? Can't blame the guy. Fortunately, Lucas didn't scrub that romantic theme out of future releases. Like he did Han Solo's, drawing his blaster first on Greedo. So they didn't get rid of that soundtrack because of what happens later on, like they did with Han shooting first, because Han did shoot first. But realizing the error of his ways gave Williams an opportunity to write Carrie Fisher a new, non-incestuous theme for Empire Strikes Back, along with the first time for Darth Vader and Yoda that would further become part of his universe. Over the 9 Star Wars films he scored, Williams has written 45 indefinable recurring themes. Or so he has been told by his fans. It's hard to believe, but I imagine people are seriously counting. So even in the sequel trilogy, which the sequel trilogy gets a lot of shit for, the soundtrack is incredible. I think Rey and Kylo Ren specifically have 2 of the best soundtracks for a character in all of Star Wars. Obviously, you have the Force theme, you have Princess Leia's theme, which is pretty good. Darth Vader's, of course, is iconic. But Rey's, the doom 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 doom, and of course Kylo Ren's is so iconic. Like that's just so good. But that's John Williams at his peak, I think, honestly. But yeah. Then it goes into other things here. But that's pretty wild. What do we think about that? Originally, Luke and Leia were written as a love duo by John Williams. So now when you go back and watch A New Hope, and you hear the scenes where Luke and Leia are together, and all those lovey-dovey scenes, you're going to think, Because if the kiss in Empire doesn't do enough for you. Gross, guys. Gross, okay? Get that out of your mind. Okay. Let me catch up on some chats here. Good cups follow orders. A bunch of ones. Okay, cool. Friggin says, I saw John Williams conduct... What? You saw John Williams conduct the L.A. Philharmonic at the Hollywood Bowl. It was amazing. That is awesome. That is awesome. You got to see John Williams conduct? That must have been the coolest thing ever. That must have literally been the coolest thing ever. Yeah. Maggie says, he did Jurassic Park and World 2. Yeah, he did. Ian says, I'm offended that you have to ask if we know who John Williams is. Hey, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised. Not a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans. We'll say the normie fans don't really know who John Williams is. It's sad. Because the guy, literally all the iconic soundtracks from every movie from like the late 70s to the now, all those iconic soundtracks are because of this guy. And not a lot of people know that, which is sad. Yeah. Maggie says, we did mess with him. Wait, what? We did mess with him when he asked about Dave Filoni. I'm guessing he was make sure we didn't again. Yeah, that's true. That is true. You guys mess with me a lot. And I don't like it. Duel of the Fates. Yeah, Duel of the Fates is also epic. Can't deny that. He did some Home Alone songs too. Wow, geez, does this guy just do everything? How to Pronounce English by Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. Yeah, so if you ever want to pronounce English words, I'm the guy to go to because, you know, I'm really good at it. Anthony says, happy 92nd birthday to the Mr. John Towner Williams, February 8th of 2024. February 8th was his birthday? Actually, I think I remember that happening. You almost single-handedly gave me the... Oh, you're talking... Not me. He's talking about him. John almost single-handedly gave you the love for classical music soundtracks. And yes, it is criminal that Williams has only won 5. That's insane. He's nominated for 54 Oscars, and he only won 5? The guy who did soundtracks for all Star Wars movies, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones. You're telling me he only won 5? There's more than 5 Star Wars movies. How did he not win on every single one? There's 5 Indiana Jones movies. How did he not win on every single one? Jaws, E.T., what? It's crazy. Chris, what's up? Says, hi, Mike. Have you got the chance to see Dune Part 2 yet? And if I had to give a ranking, it would be an 8 out of 10 for Part 2. Really? Only an 8 out of 10? I've heard a lot higher from other people. But I have not got to see it yet. Hopefully, I'm going to get to see it this weekend, or I really don't know when I'm going to get to see it, honestly. But hopefully very soon. Hopefully very soon. Yeah. Yeah. Maggie says, I thought he was in his 80s. I know. He looks great. For 92, he looks great. It's Me, what's up, says, will the new Rey film be Star Wars 10? And what is my opinion on that? I don't think it will. I think it's going to be a start of a new era, post-sequel world, post-Skywalker saga. And I honestly don't want it to be episode 10. No, I don't. I would rather it be moving on from the whole Skywalker saga. Yeah. Yeah. Skywalker Academy says, no, the Rey movie will not be episode 10, but it might become episode 10. It's hard to be if it's a big hit, sorry, and there are sequels. If it's a big hit and there's sequels, it can still be a start of a new saga. It doesn't have to be 10, 11, 12, even if it is going to be a trilogy. Yeah. Han shot before Greedo had a chance. Yeah, Han shot first. Obviously, George Lucas changed it, and a lot of people who love George Lucas are like, no, Greedo shot first. Han shot first. It's really a big, important decision in Han's character arc. He goes from being the guy who's a cold-blooded killer, and then he goes to a lovable character. It's very similar to Din Djarin. He goes to a cold-blooded killer who's literally got the gun that's eviscerating these Jawas, literally evaporating them into thin air. And now he doesn't have that gun anymore. He's a dad to Grogu. He literally just adopted Grogu. It's a character arc. So Han shooting first was very important to Han Solo's character arc. Yeah. Chris says, I heard that the new Rey movie isn't going to be titled Episode 10, and it's going to be Rey's Star Wars movie, and Rey's going to have a Padawan, and there'll be a villain role. Yeah, of course. And no, I don't think it's going to be Episode 10 as well. Greedo shot and missed, and Han shot back. No, Han shot first. Keto, what's up, says, I would really like to see Boba and Omega develop a brother/sister sort of relationship. Maybe after the rest of the Bad Batch die off. Yeah, and possibly another series where it follows Omega and maybe even Asajj Ventress, and you get to see that relationship between Boba Fett and Omega. Yeah. Fearless says, maybe we see Boba Fett in a couple of episodes. Yeah, that'd be nice. Of the Bad Batch Season 3? That is also very possible. Where there's bounty hunters, where there's Cad Bane, there could be Boba Fett. Look at Han's face when Leia says that Luke was her brother. Yeah, that's true. Actually, I got a pretty funny video about that. Let me find this. See if I can find it. really quickly. I can't find it. Okay, never mind. I thought I had it on here. I guess not. Okay, never mind. There's a funny meme out there about it, though. Somewhere. I could have sworn I posted it, but I guess not. I guess not. Wow, I posted a lot of reels on Instagram. Interesting. Okay. I guess not. Whatever. Okay. Anthony says, yes, I recently heard that the Rey movie will be treated as a standalone movie without trying to be a follow-up to the sequel trilogy. Hopefully, it's a film that one can avoid without peril to the Star Wars universe. I think it's going to be very important for the future, moving past the sequel trilogy. Yeah. John Groom says, do you think we will see where Omega got the Boba blaster from? Or do you think that's just them trolling us? Yes, I think we will, because obviously she still doesn't have that blaster. I think she'll get it at some point here in these next couple episodes. But I don't know. Nick says maybe a Din Djarin sighting, calling all bounty hunters. Well, Din Djarin would be too young at this point. He would, yeah, no, he wouldn't. He was just a foundling by the Mandos. Din Djarin wouldn't be old enough to be involved in this show yet, I don't think. No, I do not. Star Wars for Life says, I'm back. What are we talking about? We're talking about Star Wars. Maggie says, didn't Harrison Ford say that it doesn't matter who shot first? Yeah, but that's because Harrison Ford is the GOAT. Yeah. Spruce Wood, Steven, what's up? How we doing? By the way, this poll is up to 74% of you do think that Omega is force sensitive. Interesting. Omega is such a nice young lady. I hope nothing bad happens to her. Yeah, I hope so too. But we'll have to wait and see. It's possible that she could die by the end of this show as well. It is possible. The math is still mathing? Yeah, because I have to end the poll for it not to be mathing. You want to see it not mathing? Let's see if it's not mathing. All right, I'm going to end this poll. Let's see where it's at. See, the math is not mathing. It's close, but it's not. Do you think that Omega is force sensitive? 73% of you say yes to 26% saying no. I wonder if that'll change. Because right away it was 50-50. And then I kind of I might have swayed the vote a little bit with what I had to say. But that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. That would be savage to kill Omega. Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't think they will kill Omega because at this point they're setting her up to be a pretty big character moving forward, especially if she's force sensitive. But we'll see. We shall see. All right, before we get on out of here, what do you guys think is going down in the next 2 episodes? Obviously, we'll talk about this on Saturday more and next Tuesday more. But what do you think is going down? Because next week is a double up episode. We're getting 2 episodes. Infiltration and Extraction are the title. So the first one's Infiltration. The next one's Extraction. What do you think that means? What are they infiltrating? What are they extracting? Who's infiltrating? Who's extracting? And will we see the bounty hunters, Cad Bane, Fennec Shand, and Asajj Ventress? What do we think? Maggie says, Batcher stays a good dog. I think Batcher might survive the series, actually. Would be cool. Maybe Wolf shows up. Yeah, Wolf hasn't shown up yet. You might be onto something, Steven. Wolf could show up in this next couple episodes for sure. That would be nice. They're going to go rescue the clones from Tantus. Okay, well, Star Wars for Life. Let me preface this. If they go and save the clones from Tantus, and that's the infiltration, and then the extraction is them extracting the clones from Tantus, wouldn't the show be over after only 7 episodes instead of the 16 that we've been promised? Omega gets kidnapped again. I think Omega probably will get kidnapped again. I think she has to go back to Mount Tantus at some point. Yeah. Batcher better survive. I think you will. John Groom says maybe a bounty hunter will infiltrate the Bad Batch and extract Omega. That's definitely possible. We have to remember this. This scene, let me pull it up here. This scene, when you talk about, the Bad Batch. When you talk about the Bad Batch, the trailer for the show still has many scenes that we haven't seen yet. The opening one being one of them. So this looks like an extraction to me.
Hold on! We've got troopers up top. We're running out of road!
Not exactly a stealth exit,
So it's possible that we could be seeing Fee.
boys.
Let's move!
But again, this thing up here. Somebody said it might be Gungi. Doesn't really look like Gungi. But they might be extracting whoever this is, whoever Wrecker's holding there. I think this episode's probably what's going on here. Maybe they're is this Mount Tantus though? I don't think so. Is this Wayland, the planet that Mount Tantus is on? I don't think so. So maybe they're extracting something else. Maybe this isn't Mount Tantus involved at all. Maybe this episode has nothing to do with it. So that's definitely a possibility. That they're extracting somebody else, something completely else, like something else completely. This could be, I don't know. Who could they be extracting that isn't, I don't know. You have to remember, Rex in the trailer says the kid is still captured. We talked about this last stream, but the kid is still captured. That means that Omega either gets recaptured or there's another kid who's been captured by the Empire, and they have to go save them. Maybe it has nothing to do with Tantus. Maybe it's another misdirect, and this extraction is extracting somebody else or something else. Interesting. Maggie says, I hope that Hunter and Wrecker and Omega and Badger survive. They go to a nice place and live out their days. Maggie, I wouldn't get your hopes that high. Yeah. Hera's mom? Nick says, or maybe Omega offers herself to the Empire. Then the Bad Batch can follow her and learn where the base is. Yes, that could actually be possible because they don't know where Tantus is, and they can't really find out unless they allow Omega to be captured by the bounties and they track Omega where she goes. Maggie says Boba. Maybe Boba is the other kid. Maybe actually, because they would the clones know about Boba though, or care about Boba? Maybe. Fearless says, and we always know that the titles always have multiple meanings. Not always, but yeah, usually they do. Yeah. They were on Pabu in 5. Yeah, they were on Pabu in 5. But that doesn't mean that they'll be on Pabu for the rest of the show. Hopefully it's another kid. I can't go through this again. Yeah. Maggie says, it's Disney. There's always a big chance that there's a happy ending. Yeah, but no. I don't think so with this one. I don't think so. Sprucewood Stevens says, maybe Rex calls Ahsoka for help. Yeah, I don't think Ahsoka's going to be involved in this one. I don't think so. I don't think so. But maybe. Don't matter if if the other clones care. If Omega knows she has a brother her age, she will want to go after him. Yeah, but does Omega know? I don't think Omega knows. I don't think she knows. Keto says this season is way too dark to have a happy ending. I agree. I think that it's definitely going to be pretty sad, for sure. Is Dave directing it? I don't think so. I don't think Dave is directing any of these episodes, honestly. I don't think so. But yeah, I don't think it'll be a happy ending either. No. Yeah. Yeah. All right, I am going to have to get on out of here, though, a little bit earlier today. An hour and 45, again, is not that early, but you know what I mean. We didn't get to that 2-hour mark, but I'm going to have to get on out of here. I appreciate all of you so much. Watch out for a short later today. Maybe a video tomorrow, if not a video by Sunday, and of course a stream on Saturday. I appreciate all of you more than you will ever know. If you haven't yet, smash a freaking like on this stream, hit subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And go watch that breakdown video from yesterday's episode if you have not yet. We are on the road to 10,000. We are getting so close to 10,000, and I can't wait. So hopefully watch out for a very unprecedented, unpredicted stream that'll celebrate our 10,000 mark on the stream because that'll be a very, very cool thing, and I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. Fearless says, whatever goes down in these episodes, there will be a lot of action. I agree. I think there will be. Infiltration and extraction causes, or leads us to believe that there will be a lot of action. Friggins says, yup, Kenner's music so far this season doesn't say happy ending. No, it does not. And Jennifer Kerbert, the producer lady, said, don't put your tissues away because we're just getting started. So hopefully that means not a happy ending. I mean, not hopefully, but it probably means not a happy ending. Okay, I'm going to get on out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Smash that like if you haven't yet. Hit subscribe, hit that bell, blah, 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 blah. And may the force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. Maggie says, may the force be with you all. You are all amazing. Mike, you are awesome. Thank you, Maggie. Thanks for hanging out with us. No, thank you guys for hanging out with me. What are you talking about? Don't say that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Chris says, I just got my copy of Rebel Moon Part 1 in the mail today by shipping. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Rebel Moon Part 1 was really good. I'm excited for Part 2. Nick says, sounds like the filler episode coming up, JK. Yeah, I hope not. Say it, Mike. Corbett. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.